Here we go. Welcome back to Nothing to Say, the Fans Podcast. We hope you all enjoyed last episode. We hope you enjoyed your week. This episode is going to be full of NBA and NFL talk. I had mentioned in the previous episode that we were going to try our best to alternate between NBA, NFL, starting with and finishing with. So we were very heavy on the NFL, and we are going to talk a lot about the NFL, but we are going to start off with the NBA, and we are going to talk about, at least for a little bit, we got to give credit to our hometown team, the Sacramento Kings. So we'll roll the intro for Keeping Up with the Kings. All right, so our Sacramento Kings, we will get to the other parts of the NBA, I promise, but we will start with the Sacramento Kings. They are currently 6-6, sitting at the 9th seed in the Western Conference. So if the playoffs started today, which really as a fan, I think is what you were hoping for, at least going into the season. But at least so far, they are looking like a team that very much could compete for like a bottom end playoff spot, maybe around 8 or 7. But I think they're, at least so far through 12 games, proven to be a team that definitely should be in the play-in at minimum.
Yeah, without the level that they're playing with, I think going into this year, you would have thought that they would have had a little more depth, but Fox and Sabonis have picked it up. Malik Monk has played outstanding. Keegan Murray, probably 75% of the games that he's played has been as advertised, probably more than advertised. Monk has been playing well. I think I already said that. Herter has been shooting the lights out, right? I think he's only had a couple games where he's been pretty ineffective, but other than that, he's been a top shooter in this league. I think you just got to be happy. In the defense, you can see the effort throughout, right? Monk is getting into it. Fox, I think, has taken that next step as a primary on-ball defender. Harrison Barnes, savvy. Sabonis, a little worried that he's kind of undersized at the 5 and he gets out rebounded, but he kind of shut that criticism up last game against Golden State.
So I think I'll pull it up right now. 22 rebounds.
If, with recency bias put aside, right, I think this team has enough to hopefully make it through the playoffs. I think it's different is the best thing you could say. This team seems a little different than the last 16 years.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference, you got to give credit to Mike Brown. I think he's come in and they've really responded to him. And, you know, one of the things that, I mean, we were talking about this with Ben the other night, who, if you've listened to this show over the course of the years, you know who Ben is. He's one of our closest friends and is an absolute crazy Kings fan, like Sam and I. And, you know, we were talking to him the other night, and I texted you guys and I said, I think the thing right now that is so fun for me as a fan is I genuinely go into each game not only thinking that they have a chance to win, but I'm like excited to watch them play. And part of that is because of how hard they've been playing on the defensive end. And I've always been biased towards defensive players and defensive teams. I mean, I played basketball for 17 years and defense was my favorite part of the game. I loved playing defense, and there's nothing more fun to me than watching a guy just go berserk on the defensive end and take on the best player and win. It's such a good feeling as a player. It's fun to watch. And when you see Fox picking up full court, or Mitchell, I mean, Mitchell's a perfect example. I feel like he never gets beat. And just like, it's infectious, like people feed off of it. And then it just leads to transition offense, and everybody just, the energy of the game starts to pick up when you play hard on the defensive end. And that for me has been the biggest difference for them, is their defensive intensity has just seen, for whatever reason, I mean, it just seems to have made them even smarter on the offensive end as well.
Yeah, their game is a game of possessions, right? And they steal possessions when Fox turns a opponent scored basket into a fast break, right? With 4 dribbles down the court, he's already in the lane scoring, right? He steals those possessions away. If you get stops, then the Kings are a hard team to corral, really, because you can't stop that speed. The only thing is you hope that they're unfocused coming into the night and they're not hitting shots like in the Lakers game, right? Where they gave the Lakers that chance because they weren't hitting anything.
Oh God, that was such a bad start.
And the Lakers played out of their minds from a supporting cast role. Westbrook was hitting threes. Lonnie Walker was playing really well. Reeves was playing super well. Anthony Davis was a monster. But the Kings should have handled that team regardless if they don't go 2 of 13 in the first quarter, right? And just giving possessions away. So I think that's the thing with this team. If they can turn teams over, steal possessions, getting rebounds, they're an efficient offensive unit. Really, I mean, they are 5 options deep, 5 reliable options deep, especially when Fox is on the court. When he's off, it's a little hit or miss. But when he is on the court and Monk is on the court, that energy is there, and they're an efficient offense.
Yeah, I mean, I feel good with their starting 5 with Murray, Barnes, Sabonis, Fox, and Herter. I feel good about any 5 of them taking a shot, even if it's an important possession. All 5 of them, I have confidence in them taking and making a shot. And Malik Monk has been a revelation on this team. He has been as important to the team as anybody else. And Terrence Davis always comes in and gives you good minutes. Davion Mitchell, even if he's not scoring 100 points a game, he comes in and he'll just give you and just immediate defensive advantage on whoever he's guarding, regardless. He's a good shooter too. Like, he'll knock down some threes.
He's been shooting a lot better as of late. I
Yeah.
think the last 4 games he's finally hitting threes. It's weird. You'll never see a game really where Davis and Mitchell will both be hitting shots. It's kind of weird. It's either one or the other. And I think that's kind of the key for this team because they hit lulls when Fox is out and they're kind of running the offense through Sabonis. But if no one's hitting shots, the paint everyone just goes right into the paint and Sabonis can't do anything.
But I think that's also the biggest difference for them is when Fox went out of the game in previous seasons, you were just like, oh my God, we just got to survive until he comes back.
Hope Buddy hits a 3 and doesn't turn the ball over. Doesn't dribble off his foot. Oh man, I hope.
Yeah. And now when he goes out, it's like, you know what? They can hold this lead that they have and they can even extend it. Like, I do feel like that is one of the biggest differences with this team is even when he goes out, I don't have any less faith that the team won't be able to at least play whoever they're playing against even until he comes into the game and then can close it out. And he's been on an absolute tear at the beginning of this season, especially in the clutch. I think he's the top rated clutch performer through the first 12 games of the NBA season.
Yeah, did it again yesterday against Golden State. Which I don't see how he can't get those mid-range shots whenever he wants.
Yeah.
But apparently just in the last 3 minutes, he is money with those fadeaway jumpers.
At this point in time, he's got to be. And obviously, there's 82 games. There's a lot of games left to be played. So I don't want to say
he's a first-team All-NBA player.
I mean, at the moment, he's at least an all-star. He's at least an all-star right now.
I think that's safe. I think he would have been an all-star last year. I think there's years past where he should have been an all-star and the team was just bad.
I do remember last season, at least in particular, there were at least circulating through social media a lot of people who were saying that Fugs. I combined Fox and Snow and got Fugs. That was fucking ridiculous.
Bleep that. Holy cow.
Right? How would you even spell that? Fugging? I think so. I think there were people who were calling for him saying that he got snubbed last season. And I mean, there were a lot of good valid all-star ballot players last season. So snubbed or not, this season right now, I don't think it's a question. I think he deserves a spot on the all-star team, at least as of right now.
Yeah, and I'd even give him the edge over Desmond Bane. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but what Shea's doing is pretty incredible. If a guy's averaging 30 points, I mean, he should nick it in. But just the impact that Fox is having this year, yeah, Sabonis is playing well, but they are so limited when Fox is out, even when Sabonis. And I don't want Mike Brown to get into the habit of, okay, well, I got to keep at least Fox or Sabonis in, right? He's got to have some sort of other playmaker that Sabonis can work off of, because if you're running that offense through it, they just get so stagnant.
Well, right now it's been Monk, right?
Yeah, and I love it because he just brings that energy. Like he is playing like Kentucky Monk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't remember him having as big of an impact on another team that he is right now. Obviously, I didn't really follow him before he got to the Kings. But I don't remember seeing a bunch of stuff about Malik Monk in other places. And now, at least with this team, say it's the coach, say it's the fact that he's playing with Fox. I don't know. But he has, like I said, he has been as important to the team as anybody else on this team, minus absent of Fox. I would say he's 2 or 3 in terms of importance.
Yeah, you know what I'd love to talk about is the impact that Mike Brown has had on this team, because I think this team, you always hear it, right? Giving up a good shot for a great shot, right? But this team, I think, is just so quick, right? And I think it comes with having guys that have been in the league for a long time that are smart players, right? Like I think Kevin Huerter was such a huge pickup.
Yeah, that was
like he is locked down in the 2 guard spot the rest of the year with his. Yeah, he makes some dumb passes, like some alley-oops that he shouldn't be trying, right? But the dude is just playing. He's not playing scared. He's pulling. He's catching, going around the screen, catching the ball, doing his JJ Redick thing, and putting that thing in, right? And he's got to play with confidence, and he's such a smart player on the offensive side of the ball.
And look, he's not the greatest defender of all time, but he can hold his own. There was a possession the other night against the Warriors where I think he was guarding. It was either Steph, and it's a big difference in player, but it just in terms of size, it was either Steph or Wiggins. I can't remember who it was, but they went right at Huerter because there was a mismatch. And either way, that's going to be a mismatch regardless. Huerter's going to be the mismatch for probably a lot of teams. But God, he played that. It was one possession. And I know I'm isolating one play, but that to me was like, I was like, the biggest difference for me is I was like, that was something that, and I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but that was something Buddy didn't do for the Kings, was win those one-on-one defensive possessions. And Huerter doesn't have to win all of them. But if he wins half of them, then that's fine because he's not out there to lock down the 2 guard against the other team. He's out there to do what he's been doing, which is shoot well. And if he can give you some good defensive possessions, individual defensive possessions, then that's just a bonus. And the other thing too, I was just looking at the stats through the last couple games, and you had mentioned passing up a good shot for a great shot. The Kings have had like 25, 27, 30, 30, and I'm talking about assists in these games. Like they are getting a ton of assists, which is really nice because I feel like one of the things that the Kings did the past couple of years, especially when Fox was really their only option, is they just played a lot of isolation ball. And now because you have a starting 5 who at any point anybody can shoot, because honestly Sabonis can hit a 3 from time to time. They're creating so many good shots for each other. It's just been really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, to touch on that too, think about the DeMarcus led Kings, right? Yeah. That was 0 ball movement because throw it down to DeMarcus and that's probably your best bet to score.
Yeah.
And it worked 9 times out of 10, right? I think another thing too is think about who the forwards are of this team. Is there a more unselfish group of forwards than Sabonis, Barnes, and Keegan Murray? I really don't think any of those guys care if they score 15 points.
No.
Right? Like they're just going to do what is necessary to break down that defense. And you got great, I think the assist totals are shows how effective this team is at shooting, really catch and shoot shooting with, we talked about Huerter, Monk, David Mitchell's shooting's gone up. Shabezi's hitting a couple.
He's been nice too. He has been a nice addition as well.
Yeah, buy Rashawn Holmes. Shimezimetsu can
Yeah,
play. He's playing
yeah.
aggressive with those dunks and he's bringing energy. Really, the thing that Rashawn Holmes was supposed to do, but Murray and his ability to play this well this early, I think is
Huge.
just yeah, it's just gravy for this. The icing on the cake for this team because they probably weren't expecting it to be this quick for him, and they're not even drawing anything up.
No, he's just finding shots. And it helps when you have a center who's a great passer and a point guard who draws so much attention that you can just kick out and just give him wide open shots. And I got to give Sabonis credit because he got up to a bit of a rocky start, at least to the season. But I mean, so far, I think he's had a double double in like 75% of the games. So far,
Mhm.
right now, he's averaging 17, 11, and 6. And for Sabonis, I think that's a great. I mean, I don't know what everybody's individual idea of a center is, but for me personally, I would want a center who was getting about 20 points a game, 10 rebounds, and around 5 assists. Like having a center who is a great distributor is such an added bonus to your team,
Mhm.
i.e., Nikola Jokic. Um, when you have a center who's so multi-dimensional like that, it just opens up so much more for your team. And the Kings have been lacking a really, really solid center for pretty much since DeMarcus. And the
Yeah.
fact that they have Sabonis now um, is just outstanding. I know losing, I'm blanking on his name now, and I feel bad. Halliburton. I know losing Halliburton hurt, and he was a fan favorite, but with who we got in return, especially now, hindsight being 2020, with the players that they acquired, that was the right deal. It was 100% the right
Yeah,
thing
the
to do.
players
And
they got rid of too.
yeah, and I was happy because I remember I was at work and my dad texted me and he said that we had gotten Sabonis, and I like stopped and went, really? And I was like, because that was one of the biggest signings that they've had in a long time. And
Yeah.
he's not somebody who, if you don't really watch the NBA, he may not be on your radar. But if you watch the NBA, you would have known that Sabonis was an all-star and is a very solid player. So he has been outstanding this season so far.
Yeah. And I think to wrap it up, man, it's gonna be tough for this Kings team to make the playoffs. They're gonna have to play at this level the rest of the year.
They're gonna have to fight. They're
They
really gonna
can't
have to
have
fight.
any lulls with how deep each conference is, really.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, you'd think that at some point the Timberwolves are going to get it together, right? I mean, with Towns, Gobert, Edwards, and Russell, you'd think that eventually that's gonna turn around. They're sitting at 6-8 right now. The Spurs probably not. I don't think you're going to expect anything super crazy from them. So right now, I think the teams that obviously you want to keep an eye on are going to be the Warriors. I can't sit here and think that they're going to stay below 500 for long. You just have a rough start to the season. The Pelicans, they're going to be a team that you're going to be fighting with. But I mean, like right now, you look at all of the teams. You look at all the teams in front of them: the Pelicans, the Clippers, the Mavericks, the Suns, Grizzlies, Jazz, Nuggets, Blazers. I don't think the Kings right now are per se better than any of those teams.
Better than the Jazz.
Right.
They can be better than the Jazz.
The Jazz are 10-5.
No, I totally get it. They have a hot start, but I think they can be better than the Jazz.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll say about the Kings right now. I think they can beat any of those teams. I don't necessarily think that they're better than any of those teams, but I think if you're a Kings fan, you can walk into each game and go, all right, I think we got a shot. And that was not something that you could do. I mean, as recent as 365 days ago. So.
Hey, you know what? So I was on a flight, right, during this game. So I didn't get to watch it live. Watching the highlights, I was so confused every time the Warriors did something and the Golden One like cheered like it was Chase Center.
Oh, yeah.
It made me so mad.
Yeah.
Get those effing Golden State Warrior fans out of Sacramento. Go back to the Bay Area.
I know.
Light that beam. Yeah. Light that beam on their head.
Light that beam. Light that beam. So good.
Thanks for supporting the Kings. Thanks for supporting the city.
Absolutely. Sacramento deserves it.
Sacramento
deserves it. Oh, man. All right. Well, so their next game is going to be against the Brooklyn Nets. That's going to be Brooklyn is coming to town. That's going to be a very interesting game. Certainly not going to be easy. Brooklyn right now is they're 6-8. So they got the same amount of wins as I don't know. I do not know. I do know. It says Kyrie Irving will not return for Brooklyn Nets game against Sacramento. So
should I get a Kyrie jersey? If I get a Kyrie jersey, would that kick him out of the league?
He'll leave immediately. Yes. You know what? The curse. Yeah, that's right. You got to use it. You just figured it out. You should have been using it for evil.
So I'm gonna get a Deshaun Watson jersey.
Yep.
That's got to be ordered today.
Yep.
A Kyrie jersey has to be in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll think of some other stuff.
Yeah. I mean, context for everybody. Sam, the past, let's say every jersey that he's ordered.
Every jersey that I own, except for Jimmy G, still holding strong.
Except for Jimmy G. Every jersey that he bought for the Sacramento Kings within the next year, that player was gone. So, I mean, you figured it out, right? It's you had to be using it for evil this whole time and not on your own team. So.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's my fault that the Kings have been this bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's really tough. I mean, you could get a Halliburton jersey and they'd probably wake up and be like, we shouldn't have traded for him. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. All right. So that'll wrap up our basketball talk for today. Go Kings, light the beam. And I will actually be at the game on Thursday, which is going to be a lot of fun. So they're going to be playing against the Spurs. The Kings are in the midst right now of a 4-game homestand. So they have the Warriors, the Nets, the Spurs, and the Pistons. So I'm saying is
happy birthday, Jason.
Oh yeah, thank you. Birthday is going to be on Friday, so very excited about that. All right. Also very excited about talking about the NFL. So let's get to some NFL talk. Week 9 or was it week 10? I think it was week 10 that just concluded. So we are filming right now Monday night. So we actually have the privilege of being able to talk about the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. And the Monday night game is particularly important. So let's go through the week and the scores real quick and some of the outcomes of week 10. So Panthers beat the Falcons all the way back on Thursday, 25-15. Buccaneers in Germany beat the Seahawks 21-16. If you have not seen highlights from that game, and I'm not talking about the actual in-game stuff. I'm talking about the fans and just everything that was going on in the stadium. What an outstanding place to play football. That just seemed like for the Bucs and for the Seahawks. I know that you obviously go there to win the game, but to play in front of a stadium that big with fans that were just as into it as they were, that was super fun. And I think the NFL is going to book as many games as they can in Germany. Of the next coming through the upcoming season. So moving on, Bears lose to the Lions 30-31. Dolphins beat the Browns 39-17. Titans beat the Broncos 17-10. Vikings and the Bills played the freaking game of the year 33-30. Vikings win. Giants beat the Texans. Don't look now, but the Giants are 7-2 right now. Chiefs beat the Jaguars 27-17. Steelers over the Saints 20-10. The Colts played a JV team 25-20. And
no, it's LV, not JV.
LV, sorry, right. Losing Vegas. Cardinals over the Rams 27-17. Packers beat the Cowboys 31-28. Niners over the Chargers 22-16. And then down go the Eagles. About 30 minutes ago, Eagles lose to the Commanders.
Lots of the commies.
Yep, 32-21. So before we do our sort of mid-season awards here, you got any thoughts, reactions coming out of week 10?
Yeah, Minnesota Buffalo watched the entirety of that game. Probably had 2 games within there where Buffalo blew out Minnesota and Minnesota somehow came back. And
Yeah.
I've never seen a game end the way that game did.
It was pretty miraculous.
It went against everything you expected to happen.
So talking about this game, we obviously have to talk about the catch and the Justin Jefferson catch. And I have to ask, and we talked about it briefly, is that the best catch you've ever seen?
So for me, Odell's is up there. We've talked about the Julio Jones catch in the Super Bowl when he plucks that thing from 5 yards out of bounds and somehow lands inbounds. This, I think, was probably the greatest catch I've ever seen.
I think so too. And I think context matters a lot. Just in terms of, it was 4th and 18. It wasn't a play that was just like a fluke in terms of they could go at it again after that. Like, that was the game for them. They absolutely had to have it. So yeah. I think him and Odell are kind of doing the same motion a little bit. It's very similar, probably as similar as you could get from 2 plays. The fact that, I don't know what the Bills DB's name was, but the fact that that guy was Lewis.
Yeah.
So he had 2 hands on the ball. And the fact that Jefferson was able to, as he's inverted, mind you, pull it away from him, still maintain it once he freaking lands on like his head. The greatest play, the greatest single play I think I've ever seen came from a college game. And it was an interception where a DB, the ball was being thrown kind of out of bounds. The DB jumped out of bounds, caught it, and then while he was still in midair, threw it back to his teammate, and they got it, and that was the interception. To me, that's like my favorite football play of all time. This I would put up there with one of the best plays I've seen ever, just in terms of context and how difficult that was. That'll be easily the catch of the year, and that should go down as one of the best catches in NFL history. I would challenge somebody to find a catch that is just better than that on all different levels.
Yeah, I mean, watching that, it was like, Kirk, what are you doing? Where are you throwing this ball? And then Justin Jefferson comes out between like 3 guys with one hand, steals it away from him, and then for them not to be stopped on 4th and 1, and you're like, as a Bills fan, yes, we did it, we won this game. And then 5 minutes later, boom, somehow Minnesota scored. They didn't even get the ball back to potentially kick a field goal. They scored and they're winning.
That's like the meme last year from Mahomes, right? F it, Tyreek's down there. The same thing with Jefferson now. It's F it, he's down there somewhere. Just throw it to him.
He had an amazing 4th quarter.
I mean, 10 catches, 193 yards, 1 touchdown. He was averaging almost 20 yards of play.
Yeah, he was limited. They talked about it a lot. He was limited to like 1 catch for 19 yards going in to the 3-minute mark in the 4th. And then boom, 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 boom. That whole drive was just Justin Jefferson.
If Kirk Cousins can play mistake-free football, he doesn't have to be. I don't think he has to be the best quarterback in the league. But if he can play mistake-free football, which he did not do against the Bills, he threw 2 interceptions and they still won. Minnesota is going to be really hard to beat. I mean, at least because I mean, you're looking at the NFC right now, and I believe after the Eagles losing, I don't know. I actually don't know at this moment in time who would be the number 1 seed.
Eagles. They beat Minnesota straight up.
Oh, they played? Okay, yeah. Then okay, so the Eagles would still be number 1, obviously. Okay, based off that then. But I mean,
I'd take Philly. Still.
You keep sitting here waiting for the Vikings to lose, right? It's like, dude, they're gonna lose eventually, right? They keep winning these close games, and they just haven't. maybe they won't. I mean, maybe that's just the way that they're going to be living this season. So I don't know.
They're gonna
Like
be 16-1.
if Kirk can play mistake-free football, they're going to be really, really tough to beat, especially if they get the 1 seed.
Yeah, credit to Kirk Cousins, that throw to put them within the red zone, where he threw it in double coverage, right on the back shoulder of Jefferson, right behind the DB, in front of the other DB. That ball had to be in that spot, or else it's not a completion, and it was perfect.
He made some outstanding throws that game, like top tier throws. And then he just makes some throws where you're like, Kirk.
And Josh Allen made some throws that you're like,
same
what
thing.
are you looking
Yeah.
at? Patrick Peterson had himself like game. He's had like a resurgence type of season.
Also, can we talk about Josh Allen trying to run and make a tackle, leading with his bad elbow? And I lost my shit when he did that. I was like, you cannot do that. I understand trying to maybe go make a tackle.
The guy was down.
Cannot. He was down, and he's leading with his elbow. I was just terrible. He's outstanding. He is outstanding. Like top 3 quarterback in the league, but you can't do that. You cannot do that.
I still don't get why he threw that ball.
The final play is tough to see kind of what he saw. It's easy for us to obviously say right now, hindsight, like, hey, he shouldn't have thrown that. But it is interesting for him being as amazing of a player as he is that was an interesting choice.
I get it. I mean, you can talk about it probably better than I, but I'm sure he saw that Davis had the step. And then it just took a little bit for him to then commit to making that throw. And by the time he committed to making that throw, that window closed was super. There was like, I think 3 Vikings guys between that ball and Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I mean, as a quarterback, and it's one of the things that you kind of learn when you play the position, and I did for a little while, and it's just those double pump, because he pumped that first, like he saw something, hesitated, and then it seemed like he still tried to do it. After you make that pump, whatever's telling you not to throw it, probably should just listen to it at that point. It's just, rule of thumb, kind of. If you're not, I know sometimes you have to make some risky throws in order to get what you want, but like, that little hesitation, it's just because it was funny because I'm sitting there and I'm watching this game because I played QB and DB. So as a quarterback, you can't double pump because as a DB, you see it and go, I know where you're looking now. And you should be watching the quarterback's eyes anyway. But if you can see that he's zeroing in on your guy, it's like, well, now you know that, like, not only do you, especially if your DBs, especially if your wide receiver's a little bit behind you, it's like, okay, now I know exactly where he is and I know what you're thinking. So yeah, it was an interesting play call.
It was Josh, go make a play. That's what that play call was.
That's really their offense, though,
but they were in field goal range with, I know time was going down. They could have kicked a field goal, got the tie, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough. But Bills are 3rd in their division right now. It's no longer Buffalo and everybody else. It's Buffalo seems to be a part of everybody else right now.
And guess who's on top?
Miami.
We'll talk about that team a little bit.
Miami. All right, so I don't really want to talk about the Raiders. They're not really.
We don't have to.
They're not really. The only thing really that I'll say is Josh McDaniels is having the opposite effect that Mike Brown is having right now. And you could see it. You can see it in the players. Derek was in tears after that game. I don't know if anybody saw the post game with him at the stand answering questions. It's just, it's so drastic to me to have a team that made the playoffs last year and was playing so well, to add talent and then to be 2-7. The biggest change was the coaching staff. So it's hard to know because we're not in the locker room, but it just, I mean, Occam's razor, just sometimes it just kind of seems like the only thing you can point out right now is the coaching staff. I will say this though, if the Raiders were going to lose to any team that week, losing to Jeff Saturday, I know that it's one of those things where people are going to look at it and go, he's got no coaching experience, blah, 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 blah.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
That's a very valid.
It's a very valid point.
That's like
Jeff Saturday,
you and I going and being the head coach of the
Well, it's not, because Jeff Saturday is probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. But I don't know if anybody listens to Get Up in the morning on ESPN. Jeff Saturday is one of my favorite listens to, when just in terms of him talking about football. He just seems like the absolute most genuine human being on the planet. And everybody who talks about Jeff seems to absolutely adore him as a person. So I'm happy that Jeff got a win in his first game. I'm mad that it was against the Raiders, but I so desperately want Jeff to do well in Indianapolis. So I'm happy that he got the win. I'm sad it was against the Raiders, but Jeff, I'm going to be rooting for not the Colts, but I'm going to be rooting for Jeff in like every game going forward. So good on them.
I just wish Jim Irsay was hiring at any place I was interviewing for, because no experience needed. I love that.
Love that. Love that. Let's before we do our midseason awards, I'll just give a quick shout out to your 49ers beating the Chargers. Man, I really thought you guys were going to win that game by more.
Just poo-poo the win.
I know, because I feel like you guys are that much better than the Chargers, and I think
the Chargers had a really good game plan.
Yeah, well, they didn't execute it very well. They had 238 yards. Justin Herbert only threw for 196 yards. They only ran for 51 yards that entire game.
Well, they had a lot of short fields because of the Ayuk fumble, a pump block, right? So that's going to skew their yardage total pretty poorly. They just could not put the ball in the end zone. Missing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, that's a tough ask.
It's huge.
And the Niners, I think Jimmy actually played really well yesterday.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be Superman. I'll tell you what, right now, there's a team in each conference that nobody's really going to want to see, and they play very similarly. It's going to be if the Titans make the playoffs and the 49ers make the playoffs. Well, just in terms of, again, the way
that's
that,
a miss.
like,
nope.
having
Miami.
No.
Miami is that team.
I'm not saying that the Titans are the best team in the AFC. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they can ugly up games just like the 49ers can and just pound you with their running game. And that just wears you down over time. So I couldn't think of a more boring Super Bowl right now than the Titans and the 49ers. Could you honestly?
I say we just I just say we put Vrabel and Kittle in a ring and let them go to town. That should be the Super Bowl right there.
But like, legitimately, it's not necessarily a knock on both of those two teams, because
it's huge.
Watching Derrick Henry run and watching Christian McCaffrey run is an art. But I think if you were to do a poll of NFL fans, that would have to be the least entertaining.
No, I think the Niners are box office.
I think they can be, yeah. But they're not like the Dolphins. They're not like the Chiefs in that regard. And I'm just talking about legitimate teams that could make it the Super Bowl. So
I think they're box office.
Whatever. All right, let's do our mid-season awards. So we haven't done this before. We are going to, obviously, it's very self-explanatory. We're going to pick our mid-season MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. So Sam, I will start with you. Whichever award you want to start with, I will go off of that.
Yeah, I'm going to go the easy one. Coach of the year, I think you got to give it to Sirianni, the job he's done, even though they lost tonight. That team took a huge step forward. They were 10-7 last year, and now they've almost matched that win total through 10 weeks, and that's just incredible. The leap that Jalen Hurts has taken, this roster overall has been dominant, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any. I don't think that if Sirianni wins, anybody's going to bat an eye at that. It's not actually who I would choose at the moment right now. The only other person, there's one other person that I think is definitely deserving of it, and
is it Mr.
Brian Daboll in New York.
Yeah.
With the Giants being 4-13 last year, and talks about, are they going to keep Saquon? Is he going to be the same? What's going on with Daniel Jones? Yada yada yada. The fact that they are 7-2 with a roster that I don't think top to bottom makes anybody go, wow. The fact that they're 7-2, and at this point, I mean, you have to say that they're going to make it to the playoffs. Unless they have a catastrophic failure, which the rest of the way, if you look at their schedule, it's not overly intimidating with the teams that they have to play. They play the Lions. That should be a win. The Cowboys, I think they could play the Cowboys really tough. The Commanders, who knows? I mean, the Commanders just beat the Eagles. They obviously have to play their division. They get Minnesota. That'll be tough. But then they get the Colts. So let's just say they split all of their division. They could go 500 for the rest of the year, and they'd make the playoffs.
For sure.
So the fact that Brian Daboll has got the Giants at 7-2, I think he would get my vote right now. Although if Sirianni won, I mean, I couldn't really argue with that. So
yeah, there's a lot of
Coach of the Year.
That's a tough one because you have guy in Minnesota, blanking on his name.
Mike Daniels. Mike Daniels, I believe is his name.
Mike McDaniels for Miami, I think is another one. Gosh, who was the other guy?
Yeah, Mike McDaniel.
Robert Saleh.
Absolutely.
The Jets.
Absolutely.
You got
who else? Anybody? Frank Reich. New guy, new coach in Minnesota. What is his name?
I just said that.
Oh, you did? Okay, sorry. I was trying to get back to Mike McDaniel's name. Yeah, Minnesota's head coach. Yeah, definitely.
Can't remember what his name is.
I got you. He's
got a lot of places that have brand new head coaches that have improved immensely, right? I mean, you got just speaking of Josh McDaniels in Vegas, they've taken another level, and he should definitely get considerations this year.
Kevin O'Connell.
O'Connell.
There we go. Yeah, a lot of good candidates this year. All right, I'll move to comeback player of the year. I think it's relatively. It's got to be Geno Smith, right? I mean, Geno Smith is playing like a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. He's been absolutely amazing for Seattle.
You could say he's offensive player of the year.
I mean, think about what Seattle thought they were going to be. Maybe they didn't think they were going to be worse than this. Maybe they knew that Geno Smith. Maybe they were ahead of the curve, and they knew something that everybody else didn't. But Geno Smith has been absolutely amazing this year, and I don't think right now there's anybody who you could argue against Geno Smith being the comeback player of the year. And I'm not saying there aren't people who aren't having good enough seasons to be considered. I'm saying that Geno has been playing so well that I don't think it's close.
No, I totally agree. He's the guy that I went for. I don't think anyone could point to someone that started their career 10 years ago and is now reaching that potential. of where they were, where there was no glimmer of what this could have been, right? And then he just comes out of nowhere.
Greeny, because Geno Smith was a Jet for a while, and Greeny's a huge Jets fan. He made a joke about it a couple weeks ago. He was saying the two most memorable things that Geno Smith had in his career was, one, being punched by his teammate in the locker room, and then being the guy who broke Eli Manning's start streak. Now, it wasn't Geno's fault. It was the head coach's fault, who got fired the week after for doing that. But Geno was the guy who started over Eli and broke Eli's streak. So those were the two most biggest things of his career. So absolutely, Geno Smith is got to be the comeback player of the year.
Yeah, in hindsight, that Giants coach probably deserves an apology, because he was like, man, I just believe in Geno.
I just believe in Geno. All right, which one do you want to go to next?
Defense player of the year. I think we both have Parsons there. I think this has the potential, because of how other teams are playing him and giving him so much attention. I think it leaves the door open for some other guys.
Matthew Judon right now leads the NFL in sacks. He's at 11 or 11 and a half.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner is going to win defensive rookie of the year, but you're going to have a conversation with him being the defensive player of the year. That guy has been absolutely lights out for the Jets. Nick Bosa is having a great year. He's second in sacks. I don't know how many sacks Aaron Donald has, actually, off the top of my head.
No way you could give Aaron Donald. This is
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. He's just always somebody who comes to mind when you're thinking of. He's only got 5 sacks. God, he's trash. What an absolute.
Trade him to the Raiders. His career is practically over.
Max Crosby over that guy any day.
Yeah, how's Max doing?
Max, I think he's got 5. I think he also has 5.
Oh, so he sucks.
Yeah. I love watching Max play. He's the most fun player to watch on defense. He just never stops running.
Do you cover the other eye so you don't see every other player on the field? You're just
every other player,
Max?
just Max. Yeah.
Gosh, that must have been a great play, man. 50. How did the other team score?
Yeah.
Well, Max
you did so well in that play. And then Colton Miller. Got to give Colton Miller a shout out.
Oh yeah,
Rosehill guy. Always solid. So probably Micah Parsons right now, just in terms of, he's not going to win the sack title, I don't think. Judon's probably going to get that. He could, but just all of the different ways that Parsons is used as an edge rusher or a linebacker or in coverage, you could just put him literally anywhere and he'll make something happen. So, yeah, I think you got to give it to him right now. Offensive player of the year, a lot of good options, but I think it's got to be Tyreek.
Yes.
I think it has to be Tyreek Hill. When you think about the questions that everybody had about Tua, I think are solely gone because of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, he honestly should get MVP votes with the job that he's doing.
Yeah.
The guy is. Do we all remember what Cooper Kupp did last year?
Mm-hmm.
All right, think about that, right, and how insane that was. He's on pace to have a better year than Cooper Kupp did last year. And
Is there a better wide receiver in the league right now? You think?
Right now, no.
So Justin Jefferson.
It's tough. Justin Jefferson is up there. Yes. Stephon Diggs, what he does. Yes. I think Kupp still, the fact that he's able to get 15 catches a night, even though everyone knows that ball is going to him, is incredible. You can't discount what Jamar Chase does either, but I think Tyreek, with what he's doing, especially with, I think you got to give it to him too, the production he had when Tua was out.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They were down to Teddy Bridgewater, their third string QB, and he still was putting up numbers.
So I have what he's projected to finish the season with right now. And the projections have him finishing with 138 catches and 1,952 yards.
Ooh.
which
He's fallen.
1,952 yards tells you that that's basically 2,000 yards. And if he can get to 2,000 yards, I mean, think about it in terms of a 17-game season.
Yeah.
50 yards, you just add 10 yards to whatever the projected number is at the end of each. Like, it's it's not inconceivable for him to reach 2,000 yards this season.
Yeah.
So I think it's got to be
wanna see it.
Tyreek.
He was on pace to beat it by week 16 to have over 2,000 yards. And I think this last week he only got to like 60 something.
If we're gonna give love to somebody else, I think the only other person that would have a seat at the table and a claim to votes would be Saquon Barkley. And a dude had 35 carries in the win against Houston, 152 yards and a touchdown. He is their offense in the way that Tyreek is for Minnesota, Miami.
So a different question: who would you rather give comeback play of the year to, Saquon or Geno?
Oh shit, that's a good question.
I don't think you can give it to, because hasn't Saquon won it already?
Let me fact check that real quick.
Checking.
It doesn't say that he has. At least everything that I'm seeing right now is just talking about this year. And so I mean I'll look at, okay, no, I have it right here. Yeah. This is, so 2021 was Joe Burrow, 2020 was Alex Smith, 2019 was Ryan Tannehill, 2017 was Andrew Luck. No, he has not won it.
Wow, what a quarterback award.
Yeah, the last one to win it was Keenan Allen, 2017, Jordy Nelson, 2016, Eric Berry was a safety in 2015, Rob Gronkowski, and then Phillip Rivers in 2013. So that's a good point. I hadn't thought about Saquon. He'll have a seat at the table for both of those awards for sure. For sure.
They got his name on there on the seat.
Absolutely.
It's engraved. Yeah.
Who's your MVP?
All right, kind of a cop out. I think it's Mahomes. He's leading every major statistical category. His team is playing out of its mind without Tyreek Hill. But if Tua continues to ball out like what he's doing, I think he should win it.
I'm gonna see who the odds-on favorite is right now, because I think it's Mahomes.
It should be. He's having probably his best year without Tyreek Hill.
So this article that I am reading right now, I don't know when it was updated, so I have to say that at least this one. Okay, so this is from NBC. This was 3 days ago. Okay, so I can give you the list right now. Tua's fifth. Tua is fifth right now. So Mahomes is 1, Hurts is 2, Allen is 3, and Allen was 3. So this was 3 days ago. So this was before their loss. Lamar is 4, and then Tua is 5. Geno is 7th. There we go. Look at that.
He should be higher.
Look at that. Tyreek is all the way down. He's 10th, it looks like.
That's nice.
Which he's below Kirk Cousins. That's BS. He's below Justin Herbert. Well, that's BS.
I was very conflicted last night because I wanted Herbert to play well, but I also wanted the Niners to win. It was not a good spot for me.
Right. All right. So I am on record saying that my long shot pick at the beginning of the season for MVP was going to be Jalen Hurts. So I want to say that it's going to be Jalen, but I don't. And I think if he loses the award, I don't think it's going to be because he did anything to lose it. I think it's going to be because Patrick took it from him. And I think right now, he's taken it from him, at least as of right now.
Oh.
I don't think it's by a lot. But I do think that, yeah, as of right now, Patrick Mahomes is the midseason MVP. And then right up on his heels, Justin Fields coming up.
Oh, yeah, he's making a sneaky.
All
He's making a late run.
I'm telling you, if he plays the same, if he just continues to ascend, I think he'll at least maybe be in the top 5 for odds. Maybe he won't win. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's looking like Mahomes is doubling up Jalen Hurts in pretty much everything: touchdowns, yards per game. Like the dude's just dunking on Jalen Hurts.
It'll be tough, I think, for somebody to take it from Mahomes. All right, let's finish this off with our picks for Week 11. So I actually, do you know who won last week?
No.
I do not have the list up in front of us.
Oh shoot! You picked the Raiders.
I did pick the Raiders.
I messed up. Who won between Pittsburgh and New Orleans?
Pittsburgh.
I won.
Okay, so Sam wins Week 10. So I think that puts you closer to me. I think I had the lead, but I think that puts you either side. Yep, 3-3. All right, 3-3 going into Week 11. So let's make our picks and we'll close out this episode. Thursday night game: Packers Titans in Lambeau Field.
The Titans.
That's tough. That is really tough.
I don't know what Packers team showed up on Sunday. I don't know where that thing came from.
I'm telling if the Packers that played against the Cowboys show up against the Titans, they win that game. But at least so far, there's no reason to believe that that's going to happen. So until it becomes consistent, I think you got to take the Titans. So I'll go with the Titans as well. Bears Falcons. That's an interesting game. Actually, it's a very interesting game.
Those are two beloved teams of this show
right now. Yeah. I'm gonna
take the Bears just to make it easy for you.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I was gonna take the Bears. So Jenna should give us both pats on the back. We'll go Bears. Eagles Colts. I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, the Saturday train is gonna enter the station here.
Jets Patriots. Jets revenge game against Patriots? ? It's in Foxborough.
I'm going to stay with the Patriots.
So the Jets are the better team.
Yep.
Jets, top to bottom, are the better team. Mm-hmm. With that being said, I think because they're at home, I think I'm still going to pick the Patriots. And I think that has more to do with Bill being able to game plan for Zach Wilson than anything else. So I'm going to say the Patriots. Until they beat them, I think it's hard to pick the Jets against the Patriots. Commanders, Texans. I'll take the Commanders.
Tough game. Yeah, give me the Commanders.
5-5 now.
I don't even know who's playing quarterback for Houston. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Davis Mills.
It still is?
Yeah. Rams, Saints. I will have to let you know that Cooper Kupp is expected to miss this game.
And Stafford is out?
I don't know if he's coming back, but
I don't think it matters. Give me the Saints.
Yeah, I agree.
That Saints are not a good pick.
No, they're not.
As a
Bills Browns.
Yeah, give me the Bills.
Yep, and then I'll take the Ravens over the Panthers.
Yep.
I expect the Lions to make it a game against the Giants, but I'll take the Giants to win.
Man, if this was in Detroit, I will take Detroit.
So the Detroit's on a 2-game. I don't think that that's an outrageous pick. I really don't. Raiders Broncos. Obviously, I'm picking the Raiders.
No way in heck I'm picking the Broncos.
Right. They're weird. They feel worse than the Raiders, and yet they have a 3 wins.
They need to be looked at for tanking. It seems like they're actively trying to lose.
It's really strange. Cowboys Vikings. Great game. Best game on the schedule next week.
Give me the Cowboys.
I'll take Minnesota at home. I will take Minnesota at home. I have been hesitant to pick them, but being at home, Cowboys just lost. I think the Vikings are going to have momentum. I'll take the Vikings. Steelers Bengals.
Give me the Bengals off of bye. I don't think Jamar Chase is going to be back. I think TJ Watt's going to be back. Or no, he played
Cincinnati. Yeah, they just played the Panthers recently. Yeah, I'll take the Bengals as well. Chiefs Chargers.
It's a tough one. I was just going to look to see if Keenan or Michael Williams is coming back.
The Chiefs open up as a 6.5-point favorite right now.
Ooh.
I will take the Chiefs regardless of who's playing.
Oh, regardless. Hey, I will say though, Khalil Mack, he was pretty dang good.
He's a beast. An absolute monster. What you got?
Can we come back to this one?
Sure. And we'll finish with we're playing with the 40 playing. We're picking the 49ers, I'm assuming, over the Cardinals, yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So back to the Chiefs Chargers.
That didn't buy me any time. I'm gonna pick the Chargers.
All right. Well, then we're at 3. So you got the Chargers. You got the Chargers. You have the Cowboys. I have the Vikings, and then you have the Lions, and I have the Giants.
Oh.
So right now, I just want you to know you have picked the Lions to beat the Giants and the Chargers to beat the Chiefs.
And Dallas to beat Minnesota. Those are all long shots.
All underdogs. All underdogs. So living on the edge right there.
Yeah, you really went out on a limb.
I just pick smart. All right. Although I did pick the Raiders. But so did you. So
against Denver. They should be favored.
The Raiders did beat Denver, I think. I think they did. I think that's one of their 2 wins.
Who's their other one?
Hard to keep track of all these wins. We're just rattling them off. All right. Well, thank you all so much for sticking around for the end of the episode. We really do appreciate it. We hope you all have a fantastic week. For those of you in school, enjoy your Thanksgiving break. I know I certainly will. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you all in a couple days.
I think I might be alone for Thanksgiving.
Sorry. Really somber note to end this.